So how do you answer these? So in an entire interview of competency-based questions, you're going to get through maybe 5 or 6 in an hour. So the answers are quite long. What you want to look at doing is outlining the situation you're going to talk about. So this is from your bullet point list of different situations. You've got your question, you've interpreted what it's asking you, you've pulled out your anecdote, you outline it, you talk about the technical information, the circuit that you solved, the equation that you understood, the thing that you built, the drone that you flew, whatever this is. And you explain how you handled the situation. This could be effective, it could not be effective, but explain this. I did this, it wasn't maybe the right thing to do, so I learnt from this situation and this is how I'll handle it next time. Or explain you handled the situation. Actually, in that group task example, when you gave everyone a job, everyone was just so thankful that someone had taken charge. Everyone went off and they did their own jobs and came back and it all ended wonderfully. And you can learn from that situation that actually sometimes you do need structure around what you're doing. So you can explain in a concise fashion, but you want to outline the situation, explain how you handled it, if this was a good thing to do, and your learning outcomes, so what you would do differently next time. Make sure you put that technical information in there. That's really important. And even if they give you a negative question, don't answer it with a negative, or don't answer it in a negative way. Try and pull out a positive learning experience from it. So they do seem to love this, idea of, the last time you failed, the last time you felt that you couldn't do something, the last time. I personally don't like those questions. I don't think that's a fair thing to ask someone in an interview, but quite often you have no choice but to ask these questions. So don't answer it in a negative way. Say something that happened and how you learnt from it. So you can have done your answering spiel, you've got it pre-prepared, you've got your list of what you want to tell people and you've told them this. But then they go, oh, well, can you expand on this or can you tell me about this? This is because you are being marked against a set of criteria that they have in front of you. There's certain things that you have to say to essentially get the marks. And they're doing this because you haven't quite ticked the box on that. And what exactly these boxes are, it's only the people that are sat in the interview will know what the company has pre-prepared. You can't say that every single one will work in a certain way. So if you cover the stages, you've probably covered everything they need to know, but there might be something extra. And if they ask for that, that's because they're giving you the chance to give the answer. So answer their question. Follow their steer to give the information that's relevant to their extra question. If their extra question is just like, I really don't understand, just ask for clarification. They will be happy to give it to you. The other thing to take into account is that you're going to have to get used to competency questions. They're not a nice thing to do, but it's a learnable skill and you're going to have to do this probably on every interview that you do for the rest of your life. So get to know them, get to understand them and just go, it's just an odd way that they're asking me to give my information. So get to know a whole range of competency questions. And there are literally hundreds of them. So if you just do a Google search for competency-based questions, you will get loads of them. So when I last applied to a company, I pulled out my list from the previous job interview and found out another 50 competency-based questions. I went through the process. I had my list of anecdotes, what I was going to fill them in with, and I just paired them up. And then I started to group competency questions together because you get like groups of a time when something went badly, a time when something went well, a time where, you were a leader, a time when you were a team player, all these things. So I've included a list of competency questions here that I've found that are kind of relevant to your first job in an engineering company. So have a look at those, and that's a starting point. I would say go out and have a look for some more. There's always things like, what can you offer our company? Which is a veiled idea of why should we employ you? So what skills have you got that are relevant to the company? Remember your technical skills. You have all that technical training behind you. You have a love of the industry that you just applied to. This is why they should employ you, and this is what you can offer them. Things like, when did you last take on someone else's idea? Always a difficult thing. But in a company, you're going to be working in a group of people. It's very unusual to be sat in a corner all on your own and not interacting with anybody else. So this could be from a group project. It could be feedback on something that you've done. So there's all sorts of different questions. So have a look through that list, get to know them, sort out your list of pre-prepared anecdotes that you have to tell people. Get used to interpreting what that question is going to ask you, doing that mental thing, like, I will talk about that question, I will take that example for that question. The only other thing to make sure that you do is use a range of your examples. Don't always use the same example to answer a question. Now, you might find in an entire interview that actually you use the same project twice. That's fine, out of a range of different stuff. But don't use it for the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth question. So you should have a list of kind of, 10 to 15, 20 examples, and try to use a range of them that fits nicely. So, competency-based questions. Don't be afraid of them. They're just a strange way of asking you to give the company information. Treat it like that. So what you need to do is go away and look at a lot of competency questions. Get very used to them. Get used to understanding what the question's actually asking you to do. When you've worked out what it's asking you to do, align it with one of your situations that you're going to use as an answer. You know how you're going to answer this once you've selected it. So explain the situation, explain what you did, and explain what you learnt. Pop in that technical information in there. If you ask for more information, give it. And just practice this. Get that list of competency questions, pull one out, fit it in. And actually, to be honest, saying it out loud is quite a good way of doing it rather than just on paper, and you get used to working that way. So I hope that's helped with your competency-based questions. When you're ready, move on to the next video, and I'll see you there.